You're watching the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14.
Right now it's 7. It's been hot outside, but medical experts are give you some advice on how to stay safe.
Also, a man who passed away in an Oklahoma jail is given justice when a jury finds the jail guilty of not giving him medical attention.
And as we mentioned with the heat, we have an alert day through today. Excessive heat warnings continue today. We'll take a look at that forecast coming up.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Good morning and welcome to the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14. I'm Caitlin O'Shaughnessy.
I'm Chris Warner, just after 7 a.m. now on this finally Friday across the 4 states. And boy,
what a week it's been.
Yeah, we've been counting down to the weekend because that's when the relief from the heat will get here. We just have a little bit longer to go before we'll finally get a break from this heat. And
that's true.
I'm very excited to tell you about that break from the heat. But between now and then, you got to play it safe.
Absolutely. And as you can see, temps may be cooling, but it's still important to take precautions.
KOAM's Anthony Saviello has more.
With a late summer heat wave impacting the 4 states, we spoke with some medical experts on why it's important to be careful outside.
Long exposure to heat is an issue to the body because it causes the core temperature to raise. As our core temperature raises, it makes it harder for our bodies to perform its physiological function correctly. And as it continues to raise upwards of like 104 degrees Fahrenheit, it can become an issue in terms of health and heat illness.
Something that Mercy Hospital's Libby Clark is familiar with seeing in patients during the summer.
Well, what we've been seeing a lot, the most severe cases are people that are just extremely dehydrated. It's dangerous because you can do permanent damage to your kidneys. We'll see a couple, 2, 3 of those a day. Some of them sick enough to go into the ICU.
But now that the heat is projected to die down, it doesn't mean that precautions should.
Even at those relatively like what we would love for right now, cool temperatures, with a high humidity level, they can still be detrimental and dangerous, especially for people who are in a like elderly population. They're even more at risk for these complications.
If you are out, you need to be drinking 10 to 20 ounces of water every 30 minutes to an hour. And you need to be rotating that with some sort of a sports drink that has electrolytes.
However, those drinks shouldn't be high in sugar content. So even though this summer heat may soon start to die down, it's important to stay hydrated, stay in the shade, and keep yourself safe and healthy. Reporting in Pittsburgh, I'm Anthony Saviello, KOAM News.
Experts also emphasize keeping an eye on your children and animals.
And of course, if you want to be updated on the latest weather, you know what you need to do. You need to find that KOAM Skywatch weather app and get it downloaded. Have the latest forecast, basically the entire Skywatch weather team right there in the palm of your hand. And as mentioned, the heat does continue through at least today and maybe a little bit into our Saturday. We have the excessive heat warnings for Missouri and Kansas through 10 o'clock tonight and for Northeast Oklahoma until 8 tonight. Now, we mentioned yesterday, Tulsa was wanting to scale these back to heat advisories. Unfortunately, our temperatures and humidity and dew point levels today just not going to make it safe enough to scale back those alerts. So, hopefully, the last time we have to show you this for a while. Number 1 safety tip, if you do not have to be outside in this heat, don't. If you do, you got to stay hydrated, take frequent breaks, limit strenuous outdoor activities, wear lightweight, light-colored clothing, and check on the elderly and pets and children out there. Our heat index values today, once again, in that 105 to 115 range. So that dangerous heat, not going to let go. And something we've learned, too, is in the Oklahoma Mesonet, Miami broke a record heat index value just a few days ago, clocking in at 126.19, breaking the previous record of just 126 even. So we're not messing around with this dangerous heat. You shouldn't be messing around with it either. However, as I mentioned, relief is on the way, and some of that might even come in the form of some rainfall. We'll look at your full forecast here in a few more minutes. Caitlin?
Thanks, Chris. Well, a jury verdict leads a $33 million award to the family of a man who died while he was an inmate at the Ottawa County, Oklahoma jail. The case dates back to October 2015 when Terrell Ellis turned himself in at the jail for a DWI warrant. Court documents indicate he was apparently in good health at the time, but 12 days later, surveillance equipment recorded Ellis repeatedly complaining of pain and begging for help as jail staff mocked him. Court documents say the jail's nurse refused to help him and that Integris EMS workers failed to take Ellis to the hospital. Nearly 6 hours after his first pleas for help, Ellis was found cold and unresponsive. The medical examiner determined Ellis died of septic shock and pneumonia, and in awarding the Ellis estate $33 million, the jury determined Ellis was denied his constitutional right to medical care. You can see and hear some of those 2015 surveillance clips on our website, KOAMnewsnow.com. And a shocking discovery after authorities from Oklahoma searched the former home of the BTK serial killer Dennis Rader. While searching Rader's property in Kansas on Tuesday, investigators found what they call trophies from at least one woman in a hole, along with lengths of chains used for bondage. Back in April, authorities found pantyhose under concrete on the same property and also found other items that were not made public. Local authorities say the next step is connecting with the FBI in the coming days. Rader is serving life in prison after pleading guilty in 2005 to killing 10 people to fulfill his sexual fantasies. And some new laws take effect in Missouri on Monday. One will be making destroying an ATM a crime of first-degree property damage. Another makes stealing an ATM or its content a Class C felony. And also, school resource officers will be allowed to bring firearms into schools and on school buses. And most importantly, drivers in the Show Me state must now be hands-free when using electronic devices on the road. Gas prices in the area are on the decline as we near the Labor Day holiday weekend. The stateside average in Missouri is $3.53 per gallon of regular unleaded. That's according to AAA. In Kansas, the average is $3.59. Oklahoma's average is $3.56, and Arkansas sits at only $3.44 a gallon. Coming up, we'll have why man's best friend may prefer female voices over male voices.
And we are also going to learn more about the March on Washington on its anniversary. You're watching the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14. Be right back.
In Health Watch this morning, the junk food you eat early in life may come back to stress you in later life stages. Results from a cohort study in Melbourne, Australia says eating lots of processed food in adolescence can increase chances of psychological stress in older life. More than 23,000 people participated in the study. Researchers examined people who ate lots of processed food between the ages of 13 to 17. They found those in the highest quarter of junk food consumption were 14% more likely to have a mental health crisis than those in the bottom quarter. Researchers say the struggles were considered to be signs of depression. And if you've ever heard a pet owner using baby talk to address their four-legged friend, it turns out there's science to support that type of dialogue with dogs. Hungarian researchers discovered dogs respond more to a singy-songy voice referred to as exaggerated prosody. That means the same sort of speaking style used with small children is also more effective with dogs who were found to be more sensitive to speech. The team discovered this by conducting a series of brain scans on trained dogs. The study also found that man's best friend seems to prefer the voices of women and that dog brains respond more to speech directed to them. College is supposed to be a time of exciting new beginnings, but as many incoming freshmen prepare to face for a bunch of new adult responsibilities in a brand new environment, some of this stress can be too much to bear. Ted Linder takes a look at what academic experts say students and their parents can do to make the transition to college easier.
Let's face it, a new school year can be tough for anyone, especially incoming college freshmen who face social and academic hurdles in their last few years of high school, all because of the COVID-19 pandemic.
I do think there will be some long-term impact of being isolated and at home during COVID and not in a school in-person learning environment.
Factor in that many students are also leaving their homes to enter a new environment, and it can make transitioning into their first year of college even more overwhelming. This stress can lead to more serious health problems like anxiety and depression if freshmen don't feel connected when they arrive on campus. Data collected by the National Institutes of Health finds between 12 and 50% of college students, quote, meet criteria for one or more common mental disorders.
College is about developing as a whole person, and it's a whole experience that involves academic success, but also personal, social, professional success.
Academic experts like Sarah Klein of the Stevens Institute of Technology says college faculty and staff are trained to offer students support, but the students themselves need to feel comfortable getting involved and asking for help.
You do need to have a social network for support, for feeling engaged on campus. You need to make some connections.
And as freshmen work to develop new connections, Klein says parents should support these developments from a distance.
And I think sometimes parents and families, while well-intentioned, are so involved in the process that what they're doing is actually not allowing their student the freedom and the independence to get out there on their own.
That's a look at today's top health stories. Now here's Chris Warner with another look at your weekend forecast.
Yeah, we've got a quick look at the excessive heat warnings across the area. We've been talking about them until 10 o'clock, Kansas and Missouri, until 8 this evening for northeast Oklahoma. The other half of this story is the relief that's on the way. We're talking cooler temperatures and even some rain chances. We're going to have another full look at your forecast in just a couple of minutes. And coming up, we're going to have some perfect cat games that you will adore. All right, so we've been talking about the dangerous heat that we're still going to have today, and we got to remind you, heat index values 105 to 115. But this is the other side. We could see at least a few isolated pop-up storms. They'll be short-lived this evening, but some of us could see some rain, maybe a couple of thunderstorms between roughly 4 and 7, and then those die out. Then overnight, we got thunderstorms out to our west. Now, right now, it looks like they may not really be doing much by the time they get here, and we're not worried about any severe weather at this point, but we might have a few of them try and linger as we go into the early morning hours on our Saturday, bringing us some additional shower and thunderstorm chances out there. And then as we head into the evening, we could see additional showers and thunderstorms across the area, and those could go into early Sunday morning as well. So not only are we going to see cooler temperatures, we're also going to see some much needed rain chances out there as well. We're sitting at 76 in Joplin, and it feels like 76. Because our dew point is at 70, humidity is at 82%. It's behaving for now. But with those excessive heat warnings, you know that means it's going to be short-lived, unfortunately. We got 75 Yates Center, Iola, 74 in Pittsburgh, Lamar, 75 Carthage, 77 in Miami. And again, our dew points for now, for the most part, behaving low to mid 70s, but they will start to climb later. So, of course, our heat index values are behaving at this point as well. As we get the morning started, though, partly cloudy skies near 90 by 11. Highs today, upper 90s, lower 100s again. Partly cloudy, and again, a stray pop-up storm or two possible between about 4 and 7. Will be otherwise be humid and hot through the evening and warm overnight. I'm going to the wrong side. I want to go to this side. And we'll go mid to upper 70s for our overnight lows. Tomorrow, still looking to be kind of hot. We're talking mid-90s and maybe heat index values 100 to 105, so better than where we've been, but still potentially dangerous heat. And then those storms bring the temperatures down. More storms Sunday and Monday. And look at next week, our temperatures into the low to mid-80s out there. And look at those lows, upper 50s, lower 60s. And give that AC a break and open up the windows here in the next few days. Well, this year marks the 60th anniversary of the first March on Washington, where Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. delivered his famous "I Have a Dream" speech. An estimated 250,000 people attended what turned out to be the largest civil rights gathering of its time. They were protesting racial discrimination and civil rights abuses. Natalie Brand spoke to 4 women who were there.
What I remember most was feeling excited.
I remember walking across this expanse of grass with a sea of people.
Among the sea of people there that day, Howard alumni Margaret Wright, Kay Henson, Beverly Brooks Anderson, and Marcia Moore.
It was mind-blowing, as they would say.
Hearing that speech that day, it was etched and sketched in the mind to move me forward.
The women share a common bond of hearing about Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s dream for a better America in person.
Once Dr. King started speaking, they listened with rapt attention.
We should leave there with and be guided by his vision and his words to us for the rest of our lives.
A call to action.
I knew that I wanted to be a part of the movement.
I think I was uplifted spiritually, intellectually, and morally.
A sentiment that's endured the past 6 decades, but the work isn't done.
You talked about continued hurdles. What is your hope for future generations?
We have to teach the history of our people, and we have to encourage them to do what they can do to help their fellow man.
There are things we must do beyond ourselves, beyond our family.
Aim high, look to the mountaintop, and always be inclusive and reaching out to touch the lives of as many people as you can.
Margaret Wright, who has attended every march on Washington since 1963, says it's critically important to continue the legacy.
There's much hope, there's much promise, there's much need.
An annual gathering that serves as a reminder of the road traveled and the journey still ahead.
Organizers expect tens of thousands of people to attend the 60th anniversary march on Saturday in Washington. Civil rights leaders, including Martin Luther King III, Ardrea Waters King, and Reverend Al Sharpton will be among the featured guests. Well, coming up, how the only medical office in Knoll is stepping up to help those who lose their insurance. Well, a group of cats is known as a clouder, and a trio of tail-twirling video games featuring feline characters is positively perfect. I can't roll the R's like you
It was
can.
really close. Rick Damigella is not kidding around in this story.
Cats and space fighters? Yes, cats and space fighters. Gamers can pounce into the cockpit with the pilots of Whisker Squadron Survivor, an on-rails shooter pitting players against randomized enemies during 30-minute battles. The game is playable now in early access via Steam. More anthropomorphic cat adventures await in Cat's Request. The futuristic feline detective tale takes place in a neon noir city setting and is playable now on PC.
The night sky is a wonderful spectacle.
And for a more down-to-earth experience, players can join a kitten named Felly in some stargazing in Cat's Cosmic Atlas. The interactive learning experience is available now on PC and Nintendo Switch. Leveling up in Hollywood, I'm Rick Damigella.
And for more feline fun, the award-winning game Stray, we've talked about that one, which is about a ginger cat exploring a world inhabited only by robots, is Meow available on the Xbox.
Whew!
There's a lot of cat stuff. I like cats, so all of that appeals to me. I like cats, so I can do any of those things.
I'm more of a dog person.
And so ends the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14.
All right, well, coming up, a local art gallery donates money to Ronald McDonald House on the 4 states.
And the good news is, even though we've still got the excessive heat today, we are going to get a break. We'll take another look at your forecast when we come back.
You're watching the KOAM Morning News.
Welcome back to the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14. It's currently 7:28 a.m. I'm Caitlin O'Shaughnessy. Well, the only medical facility in the city of Knoll, Missouri is taking action to support its patients who will lose their health insurance once the Tyson plant closes in October. OCH Clinic is giving their patients who take medications prescriptions for 90 days with 1 refill. That means patients will have up to 6 months of medication available. The clinic is also making sure their labs are current.
We're trying to make sure that they're covered as much as we can as they're moving to different parts of the United States.
We are here for all patients within our community, and we're not moving, we're not going anywhere, and we're going to stay committed to them.
At the beginning of the month, Tyson announced plans to close its plant in Knoll. There, the company employs about 1,500 people. According to the clinic, about 50% of their patients are directly or indirectly related to Tyson. They also say they will be supporting their patients who may need Medicaid. And a Joplin Art Gallery yesterday donated to the Ronald McDonald House of the 4 states. Representatives from local Color Art Gallery presented the $1,200 donation at the Ronald McDonald House. The money goes from one of the gallery's spring open house showcasings and the work of 18 winning local artists. The pieces were auctioned off for the fundraiser.
Great idea. So we put together an art auction where all 17 of our local color art gallery artists donated a piece to the auction. Then we advertised it, as well as Ronald McDonald House Advertising, and we had lots of people come in and bid on the items, and that's how we were able to raise the money.
The Ronald McDonald House provides temporary housing for families of seriously ill children in the hospital.
And we are continuing to deal with the dangerous heat at least one more day this week. We have the excessive heat warnings until 10 o'clock tonight for Kansas and Missouri, and until 8 this evening for northeastern Oklahoma, as we'll see heat index values again today, 105 to 115. So one last time this week, we're going to remind you, if you don't have to be outdoors, don't be. But if you do, you need to stay hydrated, take frequent breaks, limit strenuous outdoor activities, wear lightweight, light-colored clothing, and check on elderly pets and the children. The good news is we have relief on the way in terms of cooler temperatures and even some slight rain chances. We'll take another look at that full forecast here in a few more minutes. Caitlin?
Thanks, Chris. Well, the Miami, Oklahoma Chamber of Commerce yesterday hosted a crab dinner with a side of networking. The Cracking Cab events lets local professionals get to know each other while enjoying some seafood. Officials say it's a fun way to learn about new opportunities.
Crab, shrimp, it's a whole Cajun, little Mardi Gras flavor tonight. So we began this a couple of years ago, just as a fun evening for our members and a fundraiser for the chamber.
Different businesses, different folks come out here to all get together to have a meal, have a few drinks, and share some fun.
The event was hosted at the Miami Civic Center. And that's a look at our top news stories coming up this half hour on the KOAM Morning News. He's back and he's ready to tell us all about the big three stories. That's right, we're welcoming back Shannon Becker.
And our alert days do continue at least through today. One more day of dangerous heat out there. We'll take another look at that forecast when the KOAM Morning News returns.
Welcome back. We've got Shannon Becker in the studio with his big three news stories of the week. Good morning, Shannon.
Hello, live and local. Number 3 this week, Joplin News First. What's happening where you live is a Super 7 Inn, formerly the Motel 6 on South Range Line. Shots fired. Joplin police responded last Friday. This gentleman here, now charged by the Jasper County prosecutor with armed criminal action, which is in Missouri's attempted murder, also a felon with a weapon and attempted burglary, armed burglary. He was in a room, in a hotel room. A female lured the victim into the room, and then he and another person popped out of the bathroom.
Wow.
It sounded like a scary affair. We've updated our article with more information from the court filings. No one was injured. Miraculously, no one was injured. There was quite a scene this last Friday. His next court date is coming up in the next 2 weeks. He's on a no bond hold in Jasper County Jail. Our number 2 story, talking about someone who was struck by a car or a truck. A pedestrian struck this last weekend. I'm sorry, it was late Saturday night, about 11:30. Let me get it all out here. A pedestrian was struck on the roadway just outside of Galena. Now, his body was not discovered until Sunday morning about 9:30. We were there as they discovered the body. They did release that image that we just saw. Kansas Highway Patrol, they say they have located the driver. No charges have been filed and no arrest. There is a memorial there where the body was found there for Gary LaTurner, and then also his family and people in Galena are asking for justice. You can see signs across town.
Absolutely.
Our number 1 story, live and local, Joplin News First. Shots fired. A man down in front of the 500 block of South Joplin in the Bar District. This is the early hours of Sunday morning. We were there live as Joplin police blocked off the crime scene. It was about a half block long. They roped off. The shooting happened on the corner, and then the victim ran until they collapsed near the parking lot entrance there. The victim did survive. They have not named a suspect yet. No one has been arrested, and so we're still waiting to hear more details on that investigation.
Right.
Let's make it a little bit more lighthearted. Everybody's back to school. At the beginning of this week, we had back to school pictures. I thought this was a lot of fun.
So fun.
So here, let's kind of guess here. Who's this? Who's that look like?
Oh, we know that girl. That's Tanya.
Yeah, there you go, Tanya.
Look at that.
One of our evening anchors, and then that.
That handsome devil, I know. That's you,
My
Shannon
mom
Beckett.
does not cut my hair anymore.
This one was a stumper for me.
Yeah, a lot of people. It's Chris.
Look at, yes.
There he is, looking sharp. And then this one, isn't she adorable?
Stop.
Oh my gosh. You were posing back then.
Obviously, I was born for this.
Yeah,
born for this.
She was born this way.
It was an exciting week here back to school. I mean, a lot of firsts for parents, new schools, new friends.
Yeah.
Tell me, did you go to school around the area?
Yeah, I did. My picture there, it was from Alcott Grade School. Which the building is still there, but that's not a part of the school, in Joplin school system. But I remember I had Mrs. Dooley, 1977. So see,
Mrs. Dooley.
That was a long time ago.
I love that.
And then you went in Portland, Oregon? That's where you were in
Yeah, I went to
kindergarten?
school out there, and then as soon as I turned 18, I got out.
What were you doing wearing a sweater in Portland?
Oh, I'm sorry. That was really in look in the 90s, the turtleneck and the cardigan. You would dress up your 4-year-old as if, you know, they were 40, because that was the thing. Yeah, thanks,
well, you
Mother.
looked adorable.
Thank you, you too. You still got the great hair.
Please.
I love that.
At least I have hair, see?
You know what? You're doing great.
Yeah,
yes.
you're nice.
Well, stick around. We've got more news coming up after this.
Welcome back to the KOAM Morning News, 7:39, almost 7:40 now on this finally Friday. So we've talked about the excessive heat warnings from Missouri, Kansas through 10 o'clock tonight, northeast Oklahoma until 8 for heat index values today, 105 to 115. Now, we're talking about the relief side of things. Even as early as this evening, we could see a handful, or at least a couple, I should say, of pop-up showers and thunderstorms between about 4 and 7 p.m. Now, because they're pop-up storms, we know two things. One, they could get a little on the strong side. It's not expected, but it's a possibility with these guys. And two, they're very short-lived, unfortunately. Then we'll have thunderstorms out to our west. Now, they're not looking to be super organized by the time they get here, but at least heading into very early tomorrow morning, we have the opportunity for some additional showers and thunderstorms to roll across the area. Now, we will also have the ability tomorrow to get hot again and a bit on the muggy side. Not as bad as it has been, but still potentially dangerous heat out there. And then we'll see additional showers and thunderstorms later in the evening Saturday, overnight, and into Sunday morning as well across the area. And then more chances for some, at least slight chances for showers and storms as we go through Sunday into Monday. Right now, Joplin 76, feels like 76, and I think that may not be accurate. Dew point is at 70. It's a beautiful start to the day, but we are on our way to another very hot one out there. 77 Chanute, Fort Scott, Nevada, 74 Pittsburgh, 78 Chitopa, Miami, and 74 in Neosho. So we got our dew points. They're slowly starting to climb. We're starting to see a few more low to mid 70s and starting to get into the mid to even upper 70s out there. And so we're starting to see heat index values not significant yet, but our dew points will continue to climb through the morning and make it uncomfortable once again. Near 90 by late morning, partly cloudy skies. Highs today, upper 90s, lower 100s. Again, heat index values in that 105 to 115 range. Pop-up storms, at least a couple possible between 4 and 7 this evening, and will otherwise be partly cloudy and still quite humid out there. Overnight lows mid to upper 70s. Now for our Saturday, we're looking at mid 90s for highs, and this will be brief, but we'll reach the mid 90s, and during that period through the morning, early afternoon, could see heat index values 100 to 105. And then by Sunday, we're down to 88 for the high, and as we go into next week, we're talking low to mid 80s out there, so that relief is just right around the corner. That's a quick check of your forecast. Now we're going to send it over to Caitlin for a check of Consumer Watch.
Thanks, Chris. Well, Wells Fargo is experiencing issues with its banking system. More than 700 users reported problems on Thursday, ranging from transferring funds to declining ATM cards. That's according to Down Detector, a platform that tracks various service outages and incidents on websites. The bank said in a statement that it is working to resolve the issues. Wells Fargo customers also experienced problems earlier this month when some reported their direct deposits had disappeared from their bank accounts. Some of your favorite items at the Dollar Tree may soon no longer be available, and it's all due to an increase in theft. Dollar Tree's chief executive and chief financial officer told analysts in a call Thursday that the company experienced a 30% drop in gross profit margin in its latest quarter. The retailer blamed the decline on changing consumer demands on top of higher prices for fuel and electricity and shrink. That is the industry term for losses due to theft and damages. As a way to combat theft, the company says it will be placing certain products behind the cashier, locking certain products up, or no longer carrying certain products in some stores. The Justice Department is suing SpaceX for discriminating against refugees. The DOJ says in a post-job listing, SpaceX claimed only green card holders and U.S. citizens could work at the company. It cited export control laws as the reason. There are some specific laws that limit foreign nationals from accessing key information about space vehicles. But the DOJ says those laws don't prevent SpaceX from hiring refugees. It points out they are considered equal to U.S. citizens in terms of their permission to live and work in the U.S. That status never expires for migrants who have been granted asylum. And we could be hearing some new music from the Rolling Stones. This legendary British rock band appeared to tease a new album in the fake ad in a local London newspaper. At first glance, the ad looks like a promotion for a new business, Hackney Diamonds. But if you look closer, you can see references to several of the band's biggest hits. Hackney Diamonds supposedly opens for business in early September, something fans are interpreting as a hint of the album's title and release date. A new album would be the Stones' 31st studio album and their first since the 2021 death of drummer Charlie Watts. T-Mobile plans to lay off 5,000 employees in coming weeks. The company's CEO made the announcement on Thursday. In a letter to employees, T-Mobile CEO Mike Sievert said the layoffs will take place over the next 5 weeks. The cuts will largely affect corporate and back office jobs. About 7% of T-Mobile's total staff will be cut. It comes after months of mass layoff announcements at other tech companies, including Microsoft and Meta, as they grapple with an uncertain economic environment. And in one of the biggest acquisitions in fast food history, the Subway sandwich chain now has a new owner. After 6 months of looking for a buyer, Subway has been purchased by the private equity firm Roark Capital. The move ends the chain's near 6-decade run as a family-owned business. Roark holds investments in a number of large restaurant chains, including Arby's, Buffalo Wild Wings, and Sonic. Terms of the deal weren't disclosed. However, the Wall Street Journal reported the purchase price was around $9.6 billion. Market insiders say Roark will have to make some big changes to Subway locations and menu to improve sales and profitability. And we'll be right back with more after this, but first, let's take a look at the market prices before the opening bell. Daughter, give new meaning to playing with your hair.
Yeah, so move over, Rapunzel. Northwest is laying down her long locks. Here's Jeannie Moose.
When Kim Kardashian's kid North headed to the Far East, Japan, mom and daughter started posting videos like this. Featuring 10-year-old North's extensive hair extensions. They even posted photos of North walking with her friend, carrying North's coiled braids. Things got even hairier. Why settle for just jumping rope?
Come on, keep it going.
When you can jump rope using your daughter's braids still attached to her head. Kim and North titled this TikTok video, "Rapunzel, Rapunzel, jump through my hair." Rapunzel used her hair to tie up the prince and swing like Tarzan did from vines. The Kardashians stuck to jumping rope, but they weren't the first. This World Wrestling Entertainment star used her own braid as a jump rope. Bianca Belair! Be afraid of this braid. Her opponents yank it at their own risk. Bianca even whips them with her braid. Sort of makes using a braid to jump rope seem like child's play. Jeannie Moose, CNN, New York.
There is nothing about that didn't make my head hurt.
It's got to be, extremely painful to have that much weight.
Oh, I know.
On your head. I would not recommend that.
No, I would not either. I mean, it's like we imagine if that girl tripped during the jump roping.
Yeah,
there'd be a disaster. It looks cute until it becomes a disaster.
I think
then it's not so cute.
Do not jump with your daughter's hair.
No,
all right?
Absolutely do not do that. Unless it's detached, don't do that.
Yes. All right.
Yeah.
Well,
it's still hot.
There you go.
It's
Great
going to stay
transition.
that way. We've got the excessive heat warnings, Kansas, Missouri until 10 o'clock tonight, Northeast Oklahoma through 8 p.m. So one more time, if you don't have to be outdoors today, do not be. If you have to be for whatever reason, your job, anything like that, you got to stay hydrated, take frequent breaks, limit the strenuous outdoor activities, wear lightweight, light-colored clothes, and check on elderly pets and kids. Now, we could see a couple of pop-up storms as we head into this evening between about 4 and 7, so not everybody's seeing rain, but could get some. And then storms out to our west, if any of them, even pieces, survive, early tomorrow morning, we could see some additional scattered showers and thunderstorms. And the good news is, at this point, we're not anticipating any severe weather, just some scattered showers and storms. And then as we head later into Saturday, we'll see some additional scattered showers and storms late Saturday and into the overnight hours into Sunday. The relief is on the way. That's just one small part of it. We'll talk about the rest of the cool temperatures and the news you need to know right after this.
Here's a check of today's top headlines, the news you need to know before you head out the door. A jury verdict leads to a $33 million award for the family of a man who died while he was an inmate at the Ottawa County, Oklahoma jail. The case dates back to October 2015 when Terrell Ellis turned himself in at the jail for a DWI warrant. Court documents indicated he was apparently good in health at the time, but 12 days later, surveillance equipment recorded Ellis repeatedly complaining of pain and begging for help as jail staff mocked him. Court documents say the jail's nurse refused to help him and that Integris EMS workers failed to take Ellis to the hospital. Nearly 6 hours after his first pleas for help, Ellis was found cold and unresponsive. The medical examiner determined Ellis died of septic shock and pneumonia. The only medical facility in the city of Knoll, Missouri is taking action to support its patients who will lose their health insurance once the Tyson plant closes in October. OCH Clinic is giving their patients who take medication prescriptions for 90 days with one refill. That means patients will have up to 6 months of medication available. The clinic is also making sure their labs are current. And at the beginning of the month, Tyson announced plans to close its plant in Knoll. There, the company employs about 1,500 people. According to the clinic, about 50% of their patients are directly or indirectly related to Tyson. And some new laws take effect in Missouri on Monday. One will make destroying an ATM a crime of first-degree property damage. Another makes stealing an ATM a Class C felony. And school resource officers will be allowed to bring firearms to schools and on school buses. Plus, drivers in the Show Me State must now be hands-free when using electronic devices on the road. And a shocking discovery after authorities from Oklahoma searched the former home of the BTK serial killer, Dennis Rader. While searching Rader's property in Kansas on Tuesday, investigators found what they call trophies from at least one woman in a hole, along with lengths of chains used for bondage. Back in April, authorities found pantyhose under concrete on the same property and also found other items that were not made public. Local authorities say the next step is connecting with the FBI in the coming days. Rader is serving life in prison after pleading guilty in 2005.
All right, excessive heat warnings continue today. Heat index values today 105 to 115. Highs upper 90s, lower 100s. Partly cloudy. Pop-up storm or two possible between about 4 and 7. And then we'll stay muggy and hot through the evening. Warm overnight, mid to upper 70s. Hot initially tomorrow, mid 90s. Heat index values 100 to 105. And then pop-up storm chances on Saturday, Sunday, Monday. And after that, temperatures drop into the low to mid 80s. So that relief right around the corner.
So close. Thanks, Chris. Well, a colorful mural found at the temple in Peru could be the oldest relic found in the region.
Archaeologists came to an excavation site to examine what could be a very old polychrome mural. Farmers caused destruction with heavy machinery in 2020, revealing a temple and the multicolored mural on a wall.
According to archaeologist Farron Castillo, the building tradition of the temple could help to date it to the late pre-ceramic period, meaning the wall could be around 4,500 years old.
Certainly an impressive find for sure.
Absolutely, very lovely.
I never find anything like that in my yard, but
well, look a little harder.
One of these days.
Dig a little deeper, Chris.
Well, thank you so much for letting us put the good in your morning. We'll be back with more news and weather today at noon.
Have a great morning and an even better weekend.